Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another Breakfast with Blaha. And today, having fat-free Greek yogurt, almond butter, and milled flax seeds. Alright, let's talk a little bit about maxing and speed work, and a point that gets missed with this by a lot of people who don't understand this training system as well. And this is stuff that I have learned the hard way. Both through coaching myself and through coaching clients and listening to what the best experts who use this system have to say. And you guys know that I've run phases where I did max effort days every day. You see me do phases where I do them 4 days a week. And I've had clients who wanted to try that. And here's the thing I always find. When you do it that way, you get beat up. You get beat up a lot quicker. You feel tired, you feel run down, you hurt more. Right? You do. The same thing when you try to go too heavy on your speed work. Right? And it's not true speed work at a certain point. One of the reasons that we can max out every week on this training system is because our speed work done correctly feeds our maxes and it does not interfere with our recovery from the max effort days. Right? It doesn't interfere. They complement each other. And if you don't do this right, they don't. They don't complement each other. Now, we talk about a lot. And one of the reasons we can max on this system is because we rotate movements every week. Right? We rotate movements every week. We don't ever max on the same movement 1 week in a row, 2 weeks in a row, 3 weeks. We don't do that. We don't even come back to it every other week. We rotate variations. It prevents overuse. Right? Keeps us from stagnating on that lift. It teaches us to be strong at a lot of angles. All right, we get all of that. That's the overuse end. But when it comes to the recovery side, one of the things you have to remember is it takes a while to recover from a heavy lift. It also takes a while to recover from your explosive lifting. But if the explosive lifting, again, is done light enough, their recovery is separate and doesn't impact each other. And that's the big point. It's the big point, is that the speed work should complement the maxes. If you max too often, too frequently, it just beats you into the ground. Right? You start to hurt. You notice. Speed work is refreshing. In other words, when you're doing speed work, it feels difficult, but afterwards you feel instantly recovered. Right? You feel instantly recovered if it's done correctly. And it will not interfere with the recovery from the max lifting, but here's what it does. It lets you practice exploding and producing just as much force as you do on a 1 rep max. Now people say, well, why does that matter? It matters especially if the timing is right. In other words, if you are moving the weight fast enough, say a 3 rep speed bench, the concentric time should take you the same amount of time that a 1 rep max bench does. A non-grindy one. Right? One that's done inside the proper context where the weight never stops moving and it comes all the way up, which is oftentimes what your world records look like, by the way. Grinding is nice and everything, but when you watch anything but the deadlift, you watch squat and bench world records, what do you see? Do they grind? No. Watch Milanichev squat. World records. Looks like an opener. The speed work, if you do the reps, oftentimes, if we time them certain ways, what ends up happening? If they're fast enough, they take the same amount of time for your total set. But you are pushing or pulling with maximum force. And you're doing it repeatedly. Right? That carries over to your 1 rep maxes. And I've pointed out for certain types of athletes how these things feed into each other. All right, we've discussed this already. In this case, we're discussing specifically how it transfers to the max, not how the max transfers to the speed work, which then transfers to sports. We're looking the other direction. All right, the speed work lets you practice certain elements of maxing. It lets you practice producing maximum exertion and force for the same amount of total time that you would on a max. And because they're back to back in a set, it's very similar. All right. And if you do it light enough and fast enough, it will not interfere with the recovery. It doesn't interfere. And that is a very valuable thing. In other words, it means you get some of the training benefits of as if you had maxed all your sessions. Sorry guys, there's a helicopter flying over. Oh, there's like, Jason, it's really noisy where you live. Yeah, this is at 2 in the morning. Welcome to Houston. I always film these at 2 in the morning, breakfast chats. For those unaware, that's what I do. Then I get up and go back to bed. I like to get food in, get some work done. My brain's usually racing. Go back and get some sleep for another few hours. Get another 2-3 hours in, and get up and drag a sled. So I end up with about 9 hours of sleep total. But what we end up happening is we have a fast day and we have a slow day. The speed work feeds part of the skill of the maxing, right? The recovery curve is separate. This is, again, why properly done concurrent type periodization works so well. Your workouts do not interfere with each other. It lets you put forward maximum effort with 100% of what you have and push really hard without there being as much overlap in the recovery. Different energy systems are often being used, different recovery curves. And the speed work doesn't impact negatively the next max effort day. You see where that becomes really valuable? So it means it has a skill transfer to the maxes. Has a skill transfer over to your maxing. But you should be fully recovered from last week's maxing to max again when you get there. Again, it's this staggering them in the rotation that makes it work. And it works, if you dial it in right, it works very, very well. The trick is to get the speed work light enough and fast enough to pull this off. And if it gets too heavy, guess what? You'll get the same benefits. You get benefits, it's just not going to be the same on the recovery end. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.